Hey guys, this is the MMA Breakdown doing predictions for UFC Fight Night 73, Teixeira versus St. Preux, taking place August 8th in Nashville, Tennessee. The fight card, I think the main event, co-main event, and then we got a fun fight with Derek Brunson and Sam Alvey. Especially the co-main event, I think really the most intriguing one matchup on the card, Michael Johnson versus Beneil Dariush, but top to bottom, not really a very good card, not terrible, but just kind of average, for your fight night cards. Not great, but yeah, we're here doing predictions for it. Follow me on Twitter, link in the description at MMA Breakdown 0. Check out my picks for UFC 190 Rousey versus Correia, if you haven't done so. And yeah, and then next up I'll have predictions for UFC Fight Night 74, Holloway versus Oliveira at the end of the month. All right. Starting off with the UFC Fight Pass preliminary card at lightweight, Anthony Christo versus Scott Holtzman. I'm pretty sure Holtzman is a debuting fighter. I just want to confirm that real quick. I'm sorry. But Anthony Christo looked terrible in his debut against Mairbek Taisumov, and that's understandable. You can't knock the guy too hard for that, but and took the fight on short notice, I believe. I think, can't quite remember, but looked kind of out of shape, and just got completely railroaded by Taisumov. He was a punching bag for him. He teed off on him. Had some highlight reel kicks and punches there, and just completely wiped the floor with him. Scott Holtzman is a debuting fighter, so I have no idea. Can't make a pick here, and really not a relevant fight that it's not a relevant fight to me. And anyways, I don't know Holtzman, so I can't make a pick. All right, let's move on. Bantamweight Marlon Vera versus Roman Salazar. Marlon Vera, this guy was on Tough Latin America. This was a guy who had the up kick knockout over Henry Briones. I think for the bit of time that fight lasted, I think he was losing. I think Briones took him down a few times, landed some ground and pound. But then Vera had that up kick, knocked him out, and I think everyone got excited at that point. And then in the finale fight, was it Marcos? I think it was Marcos Beltran, and I think everyone thought he got robbed. I can't remember if I scored the fight for Beltran. I think I might have. And I really don't remember too well how the fight went. I think Beltran must have gotten his back at some point, done something on the ground. But Vera, I think, it was the more energetic fighter, and kind of fights with a higher pace and tries to look for things to make things happen. And Roman Salazar, this guy, you watch him fight and you just wonder, how did he get into the UFC? Mitch Gagnon totally outclassed him. Took his back standing in the first round, and just kind of hung out there for a while until he secured the choke and put him out. And then in Salazar's last fight against Kid Yamamoto, he just looked like one of the least skilled guys ever, really. It was an extremely boring and uneventful fight. Wasn't landing much of anything, and Yamamoto definitely looked like he was scoring more points. And the fight ended, no contest, eye poke. I can't remember who. I think Salazar might have poked Yamamoto. It doesn't matter, who cares? But I got to go with Vera here. Just because we've seen him, actually do something memorable, and Salazar just has not looked good at all. So I'll go with Vera, but I'll just say I won't really be surprised if Salazar wins, because the talent pool on Tough Line America seemed very, very low, and especially for the guys Vera has fought, Beltran and Brioni, so it might turn out Salazar is just better than him, but I can't take Salazar, just comparing how we've seen them fight. All right, last fight on the Fight Pass prelim card, light heavyweight, Chris Dempsey versus Jonathan Wilson. I won't be making a pick here because Jonathan Wilson is a debuting fighter, but Chris Dempsey, another one of these just marginal guys that just doesn't look very good. Was brought in. I said this before in my last video when I was making a prediction for Chris Dempsey's fight against Eddie Gordon, and I think one of my viewers took offense with it, but I said Dempsey was brought in as like a sacrificial lamb against Ilir Latifi, and that's just what it was. That was the fight in Ireland, I think, in Dublin. Latifi was the semi-hometown guy, and I believe it was a short notice fight for Dempsey. I can't be quite sure, but they just bring in this kid, this really young kid, and Ilir Latifi just wipes the floor with him, outclasses him, and made me feel bad because I thought Dempsey had no business in that fight. Got knocked out badly. And then in his last fight against Eddie Gordon, I picked against him. Eddie Gordon just looked like I don't know what happened to him, but Dempsey was able to tough it out. They banged it out. It was a really sloppy back and forth fight, but edged it out, got the decision, and I have no idea who's better here. So let's move on. Fox Sports 2 prelim card. I always hate when they do that. Just makes it. It just means less people are gonna watch when they do that. Now that we have Fight Pass and all these million different UFC channels, I don't know why we still have to go back to Fox Sports 2, the old dreaded Fuel channel. All right, at bantamweight, Frankie Saenz versus Serwin Kakai. Frankie Saenz, this guy's really come out of nowhere. His fight against Nolan Tickman, because that fight was on Fox Sports 2, that was, I think, the Bangor card last August in Maine. Because this fight was on Fox Sports 2, I missed almost the whole thing. I only caught it in the third round. I guess I should go watch that on Fight Pass sometime, but I missed most of that fight because I was looking for a stream. So that's how I watch Fox Sports 2 fights. But what I saw in the third round, I thought he looked good against Nolan Tickman. Had a aggressive striking, kind of dirty boxing. He was throwing some elbows. Had him push up against the fence. Backed up and was throwing elbows from there, and good phone booth kind of tight boxing, and then fought Yuri Alcantara. I thought it was just going to be kind of a disaster for him, taking on such a really kind of a proven guy with a lot of experience. Not only did he compete very well, he won the fight. Was able to out wrestle a guy who's a really dangerous grappler. Put him on his back, got the takedowns, really pushed the pace on the feet, got in his chest. It was a really impressive win for Frankie Saenz. And Serwin Kakai, he just came off of a win pretty recently, I think last month maybe, against Danny Martinez. And I thought he looked good. It was his debut fight. And did he finish Martinez? I don't think he did, but was in complete control the entire time. I think hurt him, dropped him at one point. I think it might have been with the knee, but was definitely the better fighter. But got to go with Saenz here. Looks like a rising talent, a real gritty guy. Kind of reminds me of Frankie Edgar. Just throws a lot of volume, throws a lot of kind of power shots, and a really persistent wrestler. I like him, so keep your eye on Frankie Saenz. All right, next up at flyweight, Dustin Ortiz versus Willie Gates. Willie Gates, real quick turnaround. This guy just fought 2 weeks ago at the TUF 21 finale. Had a real impressive first round knockout over Daryl Montague, and actually picked Gates to win that fight. I had no idea it would come like that. I actually thought, Montague was going to win that fight, even though I picked Gates just because of the experience advantage. But, Gates just took it to him, was able to crack him, and knocked him out in the first round. Looked really good. Looks like a really athletic guy. Good power in his strikes. I got to take Dustin Ortiz, though. This guy looks like kind of a bona fide gatekeeper at flyweight. Another one of these really persistent wrestlers, always looking for that takedown. His striking has come along, to the point where it's just serviceable. He was able to kind of survive on the feet and bang it out with Benavidez for 3 rounds. So, he can survive on his feet. He had a good fight with Justin Scoggins, where I actually thought Scoggins won. He got the win there, but scrambling all the time. I don't think has the best control on the ground. Scoggins was able to get him in an armbar at one point. He was able to scramble out and reverse position. And against Ray Borg also, Ray Borg was able to take his back a lot in that fight. But, a hard scrambler, a good wrestler, really determined to get that takedown. And I think he'll out-wrestle Gates here. We saw Gates, even after kicking Moraga in the nuts, and then, he caught him with his head turned, still got taken down and choked out. So got to go with Ortiz here to out-wrestle him for a decision. All right, next up, women's bantamweight fight, Sarah McMann versus Amanda Nunes. This is actually a really good fight and should be on the main card. Sarah McMann, I thought she was looking so good in her last fight against Miesha Tate early. Right out of the gate, came out and was just throwing not even like wild haymakers, but just good straight punches. Cracked her and dropped her. Got on top. Took that first round. I actually thought she took the second as well, but. Once the tide turned, once Tate was able to recover, she was able to get in top position, and there McMahon just really got stuck and couldn't do anything from there and lost the decision. McMahon, a solid wrestler, against Lauren Murphy, the criticism on her is that she can just hang out in top position there, not posture up for any ground and pound, and just kind of lay and pray. And against Lauren Murphy, as much time as she spent on top, she really should have done more with that. But a solid wrestler. I just think we've kind of seen her limits, getting out-grappled by Tate. And Rousey was able to hurt her on the feet. I know it was an early stoppage, but still put her down. And Amanda Nunes, I really think this is a potential challenge for Rousey. She almost beat Kat Zingano. I think she got too overeager, but, was all over her in the beginning of that fight, dropped her, tried to go for the kill, kind of blew her gas tank, and then Zingano came back, pounded her out, had real dominant 3 first-round finishes against Sheila Gaff, Jermaine De Randami, and then Shayna Baszler in her last fight. Really looks like her Muay Thai game is coming along. Kicked Baszler's leg out in that last fight, and then just goes for the kill when she smells blood. Great finishing instincts. I have to go with Amanda Nunes here. I don't know how she'll fare against a really strong wrestler like McMahon, but McMahon, once she gets you down again, she just doesn't do much, and I think Nunes just being more aggressive, always going for the kill, being the far more dangerous fighter. I think that's going to be enough, and she'll have her moment on the feet and hurt McMahon. So I got to go with Nunes here. And I don't think she'd beat Rousey now. I mean, she couldn't beat Zingano, but with continued improvement and development, I think that's the fight to watch out for. All right, guys. Next up, last fight on the prelim card. Middleweight Uriah Hall versus Oluwale Gabos. I don't know how to say that, and I have no idea who this guy is. Some debuting fighter. Uriah Hall, I really wanted to see him fight Krzysztof Jotko. He's supposed to fight him on the... Was it Berlin? Where Jędrzejczyk fought last. I was really interested in seeing how he would come back, especially on short notice from that loss to Rafael Natal. And I think it's just evident to me at this point, or after that loss to Natal, Uriah Hall is just, he's always going to be up and down. I thought he was improving very slowly and kind of getting on the right track. You know, had the finish over Stallings, had the finished Lieben, and between that had the decision win over Thiago Santos. He's got all the talent in the world, very athletic, a very diverse striker and an orthodox, but he just doesn't have the killer instinct and really hasn't finished anyone clean, if you really think about it. You know, the Ron Stallings fight, he did drop him, but the fight was stopped due to a cut. The Lieben fight, Lieben quit in between rounds. And I'm just not a believer in Uriah Hall. I really, don't see him getting his head right. It's just not the way he fights, to get to the top of the game. But I would expect him to win here, but I have no idea who Gabos is. So I have no idea. You guys should let me know. All right, moving on to the Fox Sports 1 main card, 6-5 main card at flyweight. Ray Borg versus Gene Herrera. Again, I can't make a pick, another debuting fighter in Herrera, but Ray Borg, I think this is a real guy to watch out for, and I think this guy deserves to be in in title contention at flyweight. Everyone wants to see Jussier Formiga, and they're really pushing Henry Cejudo now at flyweight, and I don't really think after seeing his last fight against Camus, I don't think he's stands a chance really against Benavidez. Ray Borg, though, he hasn't fought any top guys yet, but he fought Dustin Ortiz in his debut, which is a real tall order, and I actually thought could have won a decision there. It was a close fight. Takes the back extremely well and extremely quickly. Just leaps onto the back with hooks in and everything going already with the hooks in and the choke secured. Very good at that. Against Shane Howell, he threw like one punch and then took him down and immediately choked him out. And then his last fight against Chris Kalades, I was so impressed. The guy's grappling is just so dominant. He looked incredibly strong. Every time Kalades would try to scramble out, he would maintain top position and just manhandled him on the ground and showed very good positional grappling. Real excited about Ray Borg, and I'd like to see him, move up and fight better guys and, get his name in the mix there to fight for the title, because with his strength and grappling, I'm not even joking. I think he could give Johnson maybe one of the biggest tests he's had in the UFC so far. I really think Borg is that good of a grappler. But Gene Herrera, newcomer, so I really don't know. I would expect, just because Borg looks so good, I think this will be a showcase fight for him, but I can't say. Next up at middleweight, Chris Camozzi versus Tom Watson. These guys are just two of the most run-of-the-mill, mediocre middleweights ever, really. And it's just kind of frustrating because neither guy's covered any ground really since getting in the UFC. Camozzi's only back because they needed someone to fight Jacare, and I don't know why. When he came back to fight Jacare, I was seeing people on YouTube, in the comments saying, you know, making it sound like Camozzi had, some kind of chance to win that fight. I mean, uh, and then to hear Dana White say that, when he's promoting that fight, that this guy was a new fighter. This guy got cut from the UFC because he was on a 4-fight losing streak. This guy lost to Rafael Natal and Bruno Santos. Okay, the guy is not any better now than he was when he got cut. That's just the fact of the matter. It looks like a guy who tries to make the most out of what he has, but just looks limited athletically. I think his frame doesn't really help him. He looks a little too tall and kind of gawky for the division. Just doesn't have really any dominant skills. He's an okay kind of kickboxer at range. Fights at a pretty slow pace. Has leg kicks and stuff, and that's about it. Tom Watson, he's picked up a decent win here and there. Had a win over Sam Alvey. Lost to Natal in his last fight. Lost to Nick Catone in a fight he probably deserved to get the decision, but was taken down one too many times. And then Talis Leites really dominated him on the ground, and other than his finish over Nedkov, has not really had a standout performance. I'm going to go with Watson. I think, Camozzi, he might fight smart and just try to play the takedown game here. Get some takedowns. God, I really don't know. The fight against Natal was closer than I thought it would be. Was able to, clinch with Natal. Was kind of going back and forth in the clinch. I think it's going to be bigger than Watson. He can impose that size on him. Watson's, I think, is just the more consistent, more high-paced striker. I'm going to go with Camozzi. I think he can, fight smart, push him up against the fence, get the takedown, but I don't know. And these are just... I really don't enjoy watching either of these guys because, they just don't... They're just stationary. They haven't been able to move up at all in the UFC, even though they've been here for several years. I'm gonna go with Camozzi to win the decision. Yeah, I think he gets it done with takedowns. All right, enough time spent on that fight. I'm sorry. All right, next up at heavyweight, Jared Rosholt versus Timothy Johnson. This is actually an interesting fight. Jared Rosholt, this guy is a solid wrestler. And I say this every time that I've called his fights, but to me, what it looks like when he's fighting, it looks like you can tell, he was a collegiate wrestler, but those skills have transferred almost perfectly over to MMA. Got in trouble with Walt Harrison, his debut, got in trouble on the feet, but then just recovered, composed himself, and has this really slow-paced, grinding wrestling attack. Almost like Patrick Cummins. It looks really comfortable once he gets in his groove, against Daniel Omelanchek. Again, another power striker completely shut him down. Was able to take him down, grind him out. In his last fight against, who's that guy? Josh Copeland, was able to drag him down and really took his time, didn't get the finish until the third round. He does have a suspect chin, though. Walt Harris was able to drop him. And Alexei Olenek, put him out, even though Rosholt looked like he was going to do his usual thing in that fight. I don't remember if he took him down or not, but Alexei Olenek was able to clip him with just one shot, and he put him out. And the fight against Soa Paleli really impressed me. I thought Paleli was definitely gonna. I picked Rosholt to win that, but I thought Paleli would definitely have the opportunity, and he did at the end of that first round. I think he got into mount and was wailing away, but Rosholt actually hurt Paleli on the feet at one point, outstruck him, and just out hustled and outworked him. Was able to pose his wrestling game on him. So a solid wrestler. Timothy Johnson, though, in his last fight against what's his name? It was like Shabdul Morahimov or something like that. I'm not gonna look it up, but I think his opponent was doing well earlier in that fight. He was winning the fight, I think, on the feet. I don't exactly remember, but I think that's what happened. And I think there's a lot of hype around that guy too. But just didn't look like Timothy Johnson was getting anything done. And then I don't remember how they ended up on the ground, if he shot in for a takedown or they just kind of fell into that position. But Johnson got on top and mount and just pounded away and very quickly got the stoppage. And I'm actually going to go with the upset pick here. Jared Rosholt is solid, has the wrestling, but against a guy like Johnson, with a suspect chin and, sometimes just letting his opponents, giving them an opportunity to win, and a guy that looked as opportunistic and as powerful as Johnson, I think he's going to get an opportunity at some point in the fight. He's going to get on top. He's going to clip him or something. I think he's just going to be able to tap that chin, and Rosholt's going to go out. So I'm going to go with the upset pick, Timothy Johnson. You can only grind people out for so long, and I just like Johnson to win this fight. All right, next up in middleweight, Derek Brunson versus Sam Alvey. This is a fun fight. I wish it would have been the original matchup. Sam Alvey versus I think he called out Elias Theodoro, and they were gonna do that fight. But it's fighting Derek Brunson, and I definitely have to go with Brunson here. Alvey's little streak, 2-fight knockout streak, has been a lot of fun. But this guy did not do well on The Ultimate Fighter. He got out wrestled by Joey Rivera, and then in his debut, coming back to the UFC, this guy was the Titan FC champion, right? But coming back, he lost to Tom Watson. It did not look good in that fight. Just looked stuck, wasn't able to find his rhythm on the feet, and has been able to get these knockouts over Cesar Ferreira, and was losing that fight clearly early on. Was losing the range striking, and was able to knock him out, and then knocked out Daniel Kelly in his last fight. But if it goes the distance, I don't trust him. Oh, and he also knocked out Dylan Andrews. I forgot about that fight where he hooked the leg and Andrews fell on top of his head, knocked himself out. But I don't trust him to win a decision, and I just don't see him clipping Brunson. I mean, Brunson was put out by Romero, but Brunson competed well with Romero in that fight, even landed a head kick at one point that wobbled him, took him down at one point. Brunson's an athletic guy. He's adding power to his striking. You saw that in the when he knocked out Ed Herman. Always has that wrestling in his back pocket, and we've seen Alvey go down to the wrestler before on Tough, and I just think Brunson's a cut above these guys that Alvey's been fighting. It's a more athletic guy, more diverse skill set. The knockouts are fun, but when the fight goes the distance, I don't think Alvey can put together 3 rounds of solid fighting. So got to go with Brunson here. All right, the co-main event. And this is a great matchup, and the winner is really going to be right there in the title mix. Lightweight Michael Johnson versus Beneil Dariush. To me, it's just kind of amazing what Dariush has been able to accomplish. Just coming into the UFC only a year and a half ago. very, very impressive, climbing all the way, to the top ranks, especially after that loss to Ramsey Nijum, coming back. But I've loved it. I've loved watching him fight and develop. He's great. Michael Johnson, has earned his spot up there at the top too, but the striker versus grappler here. Beneil Dariush, I was kind of surprised the success he had against Darren Cruikshank, with the body kick, and really that was all he needed to throw Cruikshank off his game, and I don't think though that's enough to strike with Michael Johnson. Johnson has shown power, not so much lately, but this guy completely outboxed Joe Lozon, battered him, and then against Barboza fought a more tactical fight, but kept up the pace and pressure. Backed him up and fought the more tactical fight. Won there. I don't see Dariush being able to strike with Johnson. Can Dariush get him down? That's the big question, and that's been Johnson's undoing, really. For really going back to tough. The fight against Jonathan Brookins in the finale was doing well early, but couldn't deal with the wrestling down the stretch, kind of faded. Brookins out-wrestled him. The Paul Sass fight, beating him up on the feet. Sass just kind of squirming around on the floor like a fish, hooks that ankle, and it's over. The fight against Miles Jury, Michael Johnson did not show up at all, and couldn't stop Jury from taking him down. And then once it got down, just looked like he quit. Easily out wrestled and out grappled there in that fight. And also got submitted by Reza Madadi. And I think Johnson, has really rebounded from those losses to Jury and Madadi. But you see the holes in his ground game. Even though he's a wrestler and has a wrestling background, if Dariush can get it there, especially after we saw him out grapple Jim Miller in his last fight very dominantly, I just don't see Johnson being able to deal with that if it gets there. And I'm gonna pick Dariush here. He doesn't have to do your use your standard double legs and single legs to get the fight to the ground. When he fought Cruikshank, they kind of fell onto the ground there. Can't remember quite how it happened. I think he might have pulled guard or done something kind of wild to get the fight to the ground. And from there, submission skills are just top notch. Submitted Tony Martin with the arm triangle. Submitted Charlie Brenneman. And the guy's got great positional grappling. Saw that against Jim Miller and against Carlos Diego Ferreira. I like Johnson. I just feel like Johnson is a better striker, but just time and time again, he's gone down when he's faced a good grappler who's gonna put the fight on the mat. So I got to go with Dariush here. I'm gonna say he just wins a decision. But if he can't get it there, I don't really see him competing with Johnson on the feet. But Dariush is just so smooth on the ground. Got to go with Dariush. All right, now the main event: Glover Teixeira versus Ovince St. Preux. I don't really love this fight, but I think it's just because light heavyweight's so weak. I wish there were kind of more guys in between Patrick Cummins and Glover Teixeira that OSP could fight, but there really aren't at light heavyweight. I mean, maybe a guy like Ilir Latifi, but I don't know. I don't know. But I'm going with Ovince St. Preux here. Glover Teixeira, I didn't like how he looked against Phil Davis at all. I don't know what happened to him. I think he said he let himself get out of shape and didn't prepare well for that fight, but went from a guy that just looked great. Everyone wanted to see him challenge for the title. Worked his way up there eventually. Showed really good boxing, had knockout power and submission skills as well, and wrestling. Fought Jones. I think that just kind of deflated him, and then the fight against Phil Davis was awful, really. And St. Preux, I still think he's very raw with his skills. I think he's big and strong enough to get on top of Teixeira, get a takedown here and there. I don't think he can just out-wrestle him for the whole fight. He was out-wrestled himself against Bader, but the guy has huge power. He doesn't, really control it well. Just kind of throws wild strikes, but I think that's going to be enough against Teixeira. I really do. Even in fights where Teixeira was really dominating, like the Rampage fight or the Maldonado fight, wasn't able to get the finish against Rampage and didn't get the finish against Maldonado until late. So I just don't see, against a guy as dangerous as St. Preux, I don't see him really hurting him. I just think St. Preux is rising and Teixeira is declining. So I got to go with St. Preux. Teixeira definitely has the more skilled and technical striking. Not that he's fights technical, but his combinations are definitely more refined than St. Preux, and St. Preux is not a combination striker. He's a one-punch guy. But I don't know. You got to go with the surging Ovince St. Preux here, I think, especially with that really bad loss Teixeira had to Phil Davis. So, yeah, I'm going with Ovince St. Preux. I think he could probably get a finish, honestly, but if Teixeira can fight, like he was on his streak leading up to Jones, I think the Ryan Bader fight was really his highlight fight. If he can take him down and impose that wrestling game, establish the takedown, I like his chances, but gotta go with Ovince St. Preux to get the finish. All right, guys. Well, those are my predictions for UFC Fight Night 73, Teixeira versus St. Preux. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, comment, and subscribe. I'll be back very soon with my predictions for Fight Night 73, Holloway versus Oliveira, and check out my predictions for UFC 190 if you haven't done so already. Thank you, guys. Take care. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.